Hey guys, it's Source13 here, and today I got another wacky bracket for y'all. This time, this one will be about which teams have better records overall. The team with the better record will move on in each game, and we're gonna keep doing this until we have a national champion. So if you go to this little preview thing, it will pull up basically both teams' records during the season. But for any of these games that have each of these first four teams right here, we'll just look up each of them and see what their records are. So starting off, Auburn would move on against either Alabama State or St. Francis. Yep, St. Francis record is 16-17, which is a losing record, while Alabama State's record is 19-15. And I already know, Auburn's record is 27-5 or 28-5 or something like that. So regardless, Auburn moves on. And then next up is Louisville-Creighton. Louisville has a 27-7 record, while Creighton has a 24-10 record. So Louisville moves on there. And then we got Michigan and UC San Diego. And it is UC San Diego that has a better record at 30-4. So they move on. Then we got Texas A&M and Yale. Ooh, it looks like Yale has got the edge there because 22-7 is a better record than 22-10. So Texas A&M has played more games, but they have more losses than Yale does. So because of that, Yale moves on. And then we go into Ole Miss against either San Diego State and North Carolina. We'll just go into see North Carolina and San Diego State's records. It looks like North Carolina has a better record than San Diego State. Well, I mean, they have more wins and more losses than San Diego State. But it seems like North Carolina has a better record than Ole Miss. I'm going to check Ole Miss's record real quick. So we'll just have to go into the conference that Ole Miss is in, which is the SEC. Ole Miss has a 22-11 record. And then 22-13. So Ole Miss moves on. And then we go into Iowa State and Lipscomb. Oh, and Lipscomb barely has a better record than Iowa State. They won one more game than Iowa State this season. Wow. Just barely. And then Marquette and New Mexico. And it is Los Lobos that have a better record than Marquette. And then Michigan State and Bryant. It is Michigan State. And now we go down here to the west. Florida and Norfolk State. I already know Florida has a better record than Norfolk State. Yup, 30-4. And then UConn and Oklahoma. It is UConn that has a better record than Oklahoma. So UConn moves on. Next is Memphis and Colorado State. It is Memphis that has a better record than Colorado State. And then we go to Maryland and Grand Canyon. And it looks like Grand Canyon slightly has a better record than Maryland does. So just barely. Next up, Missouri and Drake. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Drake has a record of like 31-3, 30-3 or something like that. Yep, 30-3, better than 22-11. So Drake moves on easily there in the better record bracket. And then Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. And that would go to UNC Wilmington. They have slightly a better record than Texas Tech. And then Kansas and Arkansas. Barely going to Kansas. They barely have a better record than Arkansas does. Just barely. They just won one more game. And then St. John's and Omaha, I think it would go to St. John's. Yep, 30-4. Let's go here. For this one, it would obviously be Duke that has a better record than American and Mount St. Mary's. I know Duke has a 31-3 record, while both Mount St. Mary's and American, it just doesn't even show their records at all. But I already know both of their records are not nowhere near than Duke's. So Duke moves on regardless. Mississippi State, Baylor. Mississippi State has a better record than Baylor this season, so they move on. Oregon and Liberty. Ooh, Liberty's got a better record than Oregon. So Liberty moves on against the Duckies in the better record bracket. Arizona and Akron. It is Akron that has a better record than Arizona. So far, I think all the 13 seeds have moved on to the better record bracket. Next up is BYU and VCU. It is going to be VCU that has a better record than BYU. Wisconsin and Montana. It is Wisconsin barely having a better record against Montana. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. It's easily St. Mary's. Bama and Robert Morris. Oh, Robert Morris slightly has a better record than Alabama. Wow. Just one more win than Alabama this season. And then we go down to the Midwest. And this one, it is easy Houston. And then Gonzaga, Georgia, it's Gonzaga. Yep, they have a better record than Georgia this season. And then Clemson and McNeese. Both of them have the same record. So we'll just have to look and see who has better stats. Like, doesn't show you who's got. Okay, here, let's compare each of the stats. So McNeese has the upper hand in points per game, opponents' points per game. Clemson's got more wins against top 25 teams. BPI ranking is higher than McNeese, and McNeese has a better conference record. So looking at the team stats for a tiebreaker of teams that have the same record going into the March Madness tournament, McNeese leads in more of those categories than Clemson does. So because of that, McNeese moves on. And then for this one, Purdue and High Point. High Point has a better record than Purdue this season at 29-5. So they move on there. So all the 13 seeds have moved on. So in this better record bracket. And then we got Illinois against Texas and Xavier. I know Texas is some record is 19-15. And then Xavier's is like 21-3 or something. Or for some reason it's not showing either record, so let's go and so we're gonna go ahead and check. So starting off with Illinois' record, they have a record of 21-12. Texas has a record of 19 and 15. And then Xavier has a record of 21 and 11. So it comes down between Xavier and Illinois. So 21 and 11 and 21 and 12. Xavier has slightly the better record. So that means Xavier moves on. And then Kentucky and Troy. The edge goes to Troy. And then UCLA and Utah State. Utah State gets it because they have a better record than UCLA. And then this one easily goes to Tennessee. They have a better record than Wofford. So now on to the second round. Auburn moves on here. Yes, they have a better record than Louisville. And then UC San Diego and Yale. I believe UC San Diego moves on there because they have a better record than Yale. Ole Miss and Lipscomb. It is Lipscomb who moves on. New Mexico and Michigan State. It is going to be Michigan State, just barely. So close, Los Lobos. So close. And then Florida and UConn. Florida has a better record than UConn. Memphis and Grand Canyon. It is Memphis. And Drake and UNC Wilmington. Easily Drake. And then Kansas and St. John's. St. John's has a better record than Kansas this season. And Duke and Mississippi State. Duke has 31 and 3, better than Mississippi State this season. Liberty and Akron. And both of them have the same record. So we're gonna have to go into the stats for the tiebreaker again. So Akron has got the edge in points per game. Opponent's points per game goes to Liberty. They've not played against a top 25 team. BI ranking goes to Liberty, and then better conference record goes to Akron. So they are tied in terms of stats. So of who's better in each stats. So the tiebreaker, we're going to use the conference record as a tiebreaker. So it is going to go to Akron since they have a better conference record than Liberty. And then we got VCU and Wisconsin. It is VCU that gets the edge. St. Mary's and Robert Morris. It's St. Mary's. Houston and Gonzaga. It's Houston. Then we got McNeese and High Point. High Point. And then we got Xavier and Troy. Troy's record is 13 and 10, and then we're gonna have to go into Xavier's record again. Let's see if I can find their conference. There it is. Xavier is 21 and 11, and Troy is 23 and 10. So Troy moves on. And then Utah State and Tennessee, barely Tennessee, moving on there. Power of Miss Mace rejoices. Sweet 16 time now. Auburn and UC San Diego. UC San Diego gets the edge over Auburn because of their record. And then Lipscomb and Michigan State. It is Michigan State. Florida, and Memphis. And it is Florida barely squeaking it out with a better record than Memphis. And then Drake and St. John's. It is going to be Drake. They played one fewer game, but have fewer losses than St. John's. So Drake moves on there. Then we got Duke and Akron. It is Duke easily. 31-3. St. Mary's and VCU. And it's St. Mary's that gets the edge. Houston and High Point. Houston, barely. And then Troy and Tennessee. Tennessee. Let's stay down here. Florida and Drake. It is Drake that goes to the Final Four with the better record. And then in this one, yep, sorry Miss Mace, but Houston has a better record than Tennessee in the better record bracket. And then we have UC San Diego and Michigan State here. It is UC San Diego that has a better record than Michigan State. And then it would be Duke beating St. Mary's because Duke has a better record than St. Mary's. So in our Final Four in the better record bracket, we have UC San Diego, Drake, Duke, and Houston. So you got 2 double-digit seeds on one side and 2 1 seeds on the other side. So going to the national championship, it will be Drake, just barely having a better record than UC San Diego. And then Duke and Houston, it is Duke that has a better record than Houston. So in the national championship game, it is Drake and Duke, 2 schools to start with a D, and both of them have 30 wins during the season. But it is Duke that barely gets the edge because they have 1 more win than Drake does. So that means that Duke wins it all in the better record bracket. So here we go. Duke wins it all in the better record bracket, and they have the better record than anybody in this year's tournament. And they would win it all if it were to be based off of who has the better record. Hopefully you all enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more wacky brackets that I have. So see you all later.